recent article in the Huffington Post generated a lot of social media buzz. In it, the author suggests that using a gun in self-defense denies the criminal a fair trial. Colin, what are your thoughts on this point of view?
Well, my thoughts on this point of view are going to be somewhat controversial, and they're based on the Constitution ultimately.
Okay.
We have a right to bear arms for a reason. Now, first of all, as the author of the article pointed out, it is as an ultimate check and balance against the government. So it is for the right of revolution. But it's also because we were a frontier society.
Right.
And as a candidate here in my past, I had this argument with folks in certain areas of town that wanted to have a policeman on every single street corner and everything else. As a property owner, the first line of defense that you have is yourself.
Right.
By taking common sense protective actions, having lights on your property, maybe walking around your property every once in a while, making
locking the doors,
everything else, and the police can't be there to protect you at all times. Look, if somebody breaks into my house, they're going to get shot.
Yep.
And I'll worry about the legal repercussions afterwards.
Yeah. I always say, my house is protected by a 4-legged alarm system and a 12-gauge response system.
Right.
So, and it works well.
Well, it's the fact of your rights stop where mine begin.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So
and
it's
we've
like
lost sight of that at some point.
I'm supposed to let somebody break into my house and, kill my entire family, everybody in the house, and then wait for the cops to catch the person, wait for that person to go through, jury selection and trial and how many years it takes to get through the process, and then actually go in front of, go in a trial in front of a judge and the jury, and then see if they actually get convicted and make sure something didn't get screwed up with due process or how evidence was collected or something else, and in how many years do they really end up getting?
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm not one of these people that I want to carry a gun around everywhere I am. In fact, we have guns in our house. Not many, but we have guns, and one of them is there for protection. I don't own any of them. My wife does, but she says I can use them whenever I need. The point is that, to your point, where your rights end where my rights start. And guess what? I feel like if somebody breaks into my house and is threatening my family, I have every right. And as a side note, I'm saving the government a lot of money and time and expense of
Exactly.
trial in court.
And giving them life.
You
So,
know, well,
and
yeah.
the question is, what I would ask the columnist is, okay, so if we take gun out of the picture, and I have a dagger, I have a samurai sword, I have a
Baseball
French
bat.
chef knife or a baseball bat, and I choose to kill the attacker with that instead of the gun. Now what's your
Or an attack dog,
Yeah.
or
Well,
whatever.
And here's the argument that I often run into. And look, I'm a veteran. I have handled firearms for most of my life. I'm very comfortable with them. I find that the vast majority of people who have the biggest problem with guns are people who have absolutely zero familiarity with them. They're afraid of the thing that goes bang, and they have no concept of what the gun is. It's a tool. It's something that fires a bullet. I've never seen a gun jump up and shoot somebody on its own accord.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And like I said, I really believe, and I'm not even so much worried about, as far as the repercussions at a trial or anything like that. But if you break into my home, all right, I'm going to be very concerned that, well, you may be there to do harm to myself or my family. And if you are there illegally, and, well, I think at that point, your life is probably forfeit.
Yes.
I have to make a correction. It's not illegal. It's undocumented.
Oh.
Just for the record.
Well, in all fairness, and I have
But I can't build a wall around my house.
Well, that's
I have
true.
an 8-legged.
You could take a mode.
You
I
could,
have
but it's
an
racist.
8-legged home defense system. And in my particular case, I actually
You have a
collected.
tarantula?
No, I have 2 dogs, 2 large dogs, and I
And a
have.
tarantula.
I have, I'm a weapons collector, so I have all kinds of different options. If somebody breaks into my house, it might be a 12 gauge, it might be a 9mm, it might be an assault weapon, it might be a sword, or it might be an axe or a dagger, to your point, or anything else. But the reality of the matter is, once they breach my property, and not only my property, but my personal property, my house.
Your threshold.
their rights end at that point.
Exactly. And this is not about somebody walking across your front yard. This is not about somebody walking across your front yard. This is about somebody who willingly and unlawfully is entering your property with the intention of causing harm.
Ill intent.
So, I mean, that's the problem. And hopefully we're all smart enough that we just don't fire when we
course
see
not.
movement.
Right.
We check and see who it is.
You
Because
identify your target, first of all, and that's-
accidents happen. My father, before he passed away, when he was fighting Alzheimer's, walked into my neighbor's house. Thank God that they didn't decide to shoot him. I mean, and they didn't. But we all have to exercise some common sense.
Well, and of
This is
course-
not a license
And
to lose common
you're
sense.
absolutely right on that point, and I think this should be brought up
Yeah.
as well. It's not a free-for-all, right? So anybody who handles a firearm, one thing that I think Maryland does very well, and I do support more so than the federal system, is the fact that they have a full background check and a training requirement for people who own firearms. And I really support that. The federal system is set up to actually now, in the last few years, deny people the right to buy firearms because it's understaffed and it's not exercised properly. Maryland does a full fingerprint-based background check and does a
Only for handguns.
for handguns and for regulated weapons,
Right.
for all regulated weapons, and requires a training class because those are the things that they can regulate under federal law.
Right.
I think that's a good idea. And I don't mind they're keeping my stuff on record. In all honesty, I'm not hiding anything. I'd rather have it be on record, and the next time I go to buy a firearm, they can look me up and they can find me and have no problem. But I think the training class is very important. Now, of course, again, I'm a veteran, so I've been through more firearms training than most police officers have been through. I'm not going to shoot somebody without identifying my target. And I'm certainly going to be cognizant that it could
Right.
be a child, it could be, any of a number of other things. But once you go through that process, somebody who's breaking into my house and threatening me is going to most likely die if
Yeah.
I have any control over it.
And this is, I have a very controversial view when it comes to the firearms training, but I firmly believe that we should teach firearms trainings in school. I really do. Just because, even if you don't have a firearm at home, you may end up having someone encounter one at somebody else's house.
So apparently they need to have one inside the bathrooms at the high schools. I mean, because we
Yeah.
have kids getting attacked by other kids in the bathrooms in high schools.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
So it's
It
like,
really is.
The interesting thing.
and then we're just going to shoot video with it on cell phone.
The interesting thing is
break
that
it up.
this is all not real at this point because
Yeah.
none of us know what we're going to do until we're faced with the situation. And
I absolutely agree, sir.
I just hope that I hope number one that I'm never in that situation, and I hope number two, if I am, that I make the right decision because
Yep.
I think that the mental, whether you're legally liable or not, the mental liability associated with killing someone.
Right. Yep. And I hope it never happens to myself. I hope it never happens to anyone. And I think you're going to have the last word on that. So next up on the flip side, cell phone addiction. What is it? Find out in 3 minutes.